All right. Welcome, everyone. As you know, I am celebrating all kinds of things in the month of August, and I am taking the time to interview some of my clients and help them celebrate something that's going on in their business. So today we're going to be talking to Kathy Lawless, and she has lots of things to celebrate, and I celebrate that I get to know Kathy and I get to be in her awesome presence all the time. She's got such a wide variety of background, experience, and knows incredible people. And one of the projects she's working on helps her to get to know even more incredible people, and she gets to share their stories. So, Kathy, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, thank you, Mary. I'm happy to be here and helping you celebrate your month of August. You have so many wonderful things to celebrate, and I get to be part of it. So I'm very excited about that. So as Mary said, my name is Kathy Lawless, and I am a life story curator. And I help people capture their life and career stories to celebrate milestone moments like a graduation or a retirement, maybe a big O birthday, 5-0, 6-0, 8-0, 9-0 kind of thing, or also a big anniversary. And I find with sometimes organizations like nonprofit organizations, they're interested maybe in celebrating a founder on one of those big O birthdays. And especially now that in today's world, we can't really get together in events, doing something like a photo book. Here's a picture.
Right.
That captures your life story and the history of your organization might be a really fun and unique way to capture and celebrate those milestone moments in your life.
Nice. I love it. So speaking of celebrating milestone moments, not that it's a milestone moment, but what's something you're celebrating in your business right now, this month?
I'm celebrating this month the 1-year anniversary of my podcast. So I originally started my business out with doing the photo books, capturing life and career stories in a printed form, like a coffee table book. And then I started recognizing, how can I get more people to tell their stories? And I think they're more willing to do so in a more informal format than, the coffee table book, where they might feel like that's pretty intimidating sometimes. So started doing this podcast last summer in a leadership program that I was in, that we had to have a project that touched anywhere from 20 to 200 people. And I had been toying with this podcast idea for, 3 or 4 months, and hadn't really, hit the go button until it then became a project in that class. And now that I've been doing, so now next week, August 20th will be my 1-year anniversary. And as of today, I've published 57 interviews, and I have about 63, 64 in the can that then I need to actually get out there, because they're such great stories. They're not doing me any good having them in the can. I got to get them out in the world.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Congratulations. And anybody who listens to Kathy's podcast, she'll give you the information a little bit later, but anybody who listens will automatically hear that Kathy is truly a life story curator. She knows how to bring the stories out of people, to get them to open up and tell their stories in a fascinating way, and get all those little juicy details out of everybody. So they can share their knowledge, which I just love. So what makes this podcast anniversary so special for you?
Well, Mary, I haven't always been a life story curator, but I have always been somewhat of a life story teller, I guess. You mentioned earlier that I have kind of a vast background. When I was in my corporate roles, where I was leading teams and projects and change management, things of that nature, whenever I finished whatever project or concluded something, I was really driven to celebrate that project and to celebrate and recognize the people that were part of it. Many times people are, their technology, their legal, their marketing, they do their part and then they move on, but I was part of the whole thing. So I always wanted to celebrate the entire thing. So I would tell the whole story in a really fun, like PowerPoint presentation, or it was usually maybe at a happy hour. But it was a way to tell the story and celebrate everybody who, was popped into the project and then left, and then now they got to see the end result of that. So when I left corporate and then I decided to start this new, very different gig, I was really compelled about, well, how do I help people still step back and capture and celebrate those career milestones? And many times we get caught up in the day-to-day, and and you don't think about all the things that you've accomplished and maybe all the people you've mentored or touched or helped along the way. And so it's really important to celebrate those stories. In fact, today I just recognized a gal, and that's one of the things she said was that change or growth in your life, yeah, there's some big aha moments and there's some big pivotal moments, but a lot of times the change and the growth happens because of all the little things that you do. And if you don't take the time to look back, sometimes you don't really recognize how far you've come. And then that helps you then in how you move forward. So anyway, so for me, I'm very excited that I guess that was kind of a long answer about why I do what I do, but why I love doing the podcast, and why also after a year, I'm pretty excited to be still doing this. You know, I started at touching 20 or 200 people. I did that pretty quickly within launching, but now I'm just loving it so much, and I'm getting such positive feedback and excitement from folks that I want to keep going. And I also need to put a little plug in for Mary. She's over here. I hope that shows up on my screen. You know, I'm part of her peer advisory group, one of her peer advisory groups. And in that group, we're about working on our business, not just in our business, and how can we continue to reinvent ourselves, I guess, or it doesn't always have to be reinventing, but what's the next thing? What are we going to be doing next? What's going to bring us to the next level in our business? And so I probably will now take this season and then probably expand on it. I'm thinking about creating another season, which we just brainstormed on this week. So
yes,
it is something I've grown to love, and I really have lived into.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So I know you mentioned you have an anniversary of this, your 1 year anniversary is next week. So how will you be celebrating your podcast?
Well, one of the things I'm going to do is I've reached out to all of my 60-some interviewees and asked them for their thoughts and feelings about the experience of sharing their stories and what that meant to them. So kind of wanted to capture that. What did it mean to them? I've also captured what I've gotten out of the year, and then I'll be expanding on that. So there will be a special episode that will be a tribute to honoring the 1 year celebration. I have a feeling there might be some celebratory hats and horns and such.
Of course.
Fun.
Fun.
To make it fun and interesting, and to break up the you know, and show that it's a really different episode than you know, than the other episodes that I've done. But so that'll be one way. I don't know. I probably should take myself out to dinner.
I think so.
Which, you know, is kind of weird. Maybe have a nice
maybe cocktail. A new hat. Maybe a new fun hat.
I forget. Mary has had us on some different Zoom calls and having fun with her board advisory groups. And yeah, one time we had to bring who had the craziest hats, but she didn't know I had a whole bag of hats.
Right. Kathy has a whole bag of hats. Literally, she could wear 30 hats, right? So
you know, that's kind of that's kind of a symbol for my career too, because I did wear many hats.
Yes, yeah. As we all do as entrepreneurs, we wear lots of hats, right? Okay, so thank you so much. Congratulations again. I'm happy to celebrate with you and share your celebration out with all of the people in my world. How can people find out more about your podcast? Where can they find it? How can they get in touch with you if they want to create a life, capture those milestone moments in a book or in a career path, or what they want to do? So what's the best way to get in touch with you or find you?
Best way to find me is on my website, lifestorycurator.com. So that's all one word, lifestorycurator.com. And also on that, when you're in my website, if you go to the blog page, are where all the podcast interviews are. And you can leave comments there about a particular interview, or there's also a contact me on my website, and that will send me an email directly, and so you can get a hold of me there. And I offer complimentary curator sessions, so we can just chat about what ideas you might have and see if it might be a good fit for us to do maybe a coffee table book to capture your legacy, or maybe there's some video elements you want to include, or maybe one of the podcast interviews on how did I get there?
Fantastic, fantastic. Yes, there's some really incredible stories in Kathy's podcast. A really diverse group of people that you've interviewed, and it's so interesting to always find out how people started out. You start with where they were in their family, what order, and then, you know, kind of building from there, what hobbies they did, and then how that led them to their first job and on throughout their career. So they're amazing stories, and you're just brilliant at this podcast. So congratulations again on 1 year, and let's celebrate with Kathy, everybody.